What's going on? This is DeVore Live.
Yo,
Coming to you downtown Jacksonville.
Let's go.
Blackstone Building, the headquarters of DeVore Capital Group. This podcast is brought to you by DeVore Media.
Yep. Yes,
Got
sir.
my main man, Wes Decent, to my right.
Hello.
Diamond
Wes.
Decent on the socials. Wes is one of the top dogs in all of roofing, nationwide, worldwide, international, nationally acclaimed, internationally acclaimed,
Self-acclaimed.
self-acclaimed. And back for the second time, we got Jason Holland.
Hey.
What's going on, everyone?
Jason is on no social media, or you could probably just go to
Whatsoever.
Facebook.
You can't
go to
find me
Facebook and go
anywhere.
Jason
You
Holland.
can't find me.
Jason is back. He's subbing in for Will Reed. Will is out on assignment, working on a project right now. And the man himself, Ethnitude Famin,
Yo.
a.k.a. Moon Man.
Yes, sir.
Let's
Moon.
talk about Moon Man. So Moon Man's coming out.
Yes, he
First
is.
time you and I are DJing an event
I
at
know.
the Murray Hill Theater,
Yeah.
the citywide prom,
Yeah.
May 3rd.
Yeah, it's gonna be
gonna be
packed
fun.
out. It's gonna be amazing.
I mean, I'm a little nervous because I haven't seen the whole Moon Man get up.
Yeah.
But, you know, from what you told me, I mean, I believe you because
Yeah.
you are a trustworthy person.
Yes,
but,
sir.
you know, you wear like a moon, spacesuit.
Yeah, I pretty much wear a it is a disco ball helmet. So, and then I have like a disco ball shirt with some platform boots. So we go crazy.
platform boots.
Yeah, like 90s rock and roll.
Looking forward to that.
Yes, sir.
Is it like
Looking forward to
Superfly from I'm Gonna Get You Sucker? You remember that movie? You remember
That
Superfly?
sounds so familiar.
Right.
Why am I losing-
And he had the boots with the goldfish and the
Oh,
thing.
okay,
You remember
yeah,
that?
yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Classic
Superfly,
movie.
Yeah.
Classic movie. But,
sir.
good to see everyone. How's everyone been since last week?
Be good.
Good.
Great.
Were you here last week? You weren't here last week.
Was I
You
here?
Last week? No,
Was
you were
it-
here last
Yeah,
week.
he was.
Yeah,
Two
yeah.
weeks- it was
2 weeks
ago,
ago
yeah.
when Jason sat in for me for
Yeah.
the first time.
That's right.
That was like the best podcast we ever did.
Yeah.
But,
It was all NCAA. You know, Jason gets in our tournament this year, though.
Yeah,
Hey.
it's not looking
You were
too
going down
good.
as the non-defending champion. You can't do it now.
Right. Well,
There's
I
three of
mean,
us. that
Yeah,
got,
you have
there's
no
three of us
path
that got
forward.
a chance. I got a chance. Scott's got a chance.
If I would have
I'm
won,
currently-
you guys would have participated next year. You know,
If
so
Duke wins, I take it. I think.
I'm
think
currently
I
in
leaped
second.
Yeah.
I know you picked the Gators,
I
but
did.
someone is Kelly. She's
Kelly,
first.
She's
Yeah.
been leading.
I mean,
the whole thing.
I've been catching up though. My
Yeah.
gap, but
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
Wes, like
Yeah.
you ascended like up the
He's skyrocketed.
up the tab.
It's funny because I got Duke to win, which they will win, and then he has Duke to win. So even if Duke wins, I still lose because I mean your points higher than mine, and then you got
Yeah.
the champion. So
Duke's got to get through Houston.
man, watch, man, look, man.
Yeah,
I was
That's what I got.
watching-
I got Houston winning all the Cougars, baby.
Houston's tough, man.
Yeah.
Veteran
tough,
group.
but not tough enough.
Yeah, that's just it.
Ooh.
The top three of us all have different. He's got Houston. I
Yeah.
got Duke, and I think.
Kelly
Kelly has
has no Florida.
Florida,
Gators.
that's Florida.
Gators.
She's
Which we
Florida.
know.
Yeah.
But Auburn go beat.
Nobody
break
picked.
some-
Yeah,
Yeah, Auburn. I got Auburn to beat Florida.
it's
Auburn.
gonna be a
There's
good
no
game.
way Auburn, like their best player, got hurt. The coach then, he came back. Willis Reed moment hit a three. Well, then he's
Florida's guys got
playing
hurt,
with
man.
one
He was-
arm,
Right.
and the coach just kept them in there. I'm like, why is he not taking them out? They kind of have a lead. Go ahead, set him out because he's a danger of actually injuring himself even more.
Right. He mouthed, "I am done" to the
Yeah.
coach.
Yeah.
I saw it during the game, and I was like,
Yeah, and
then he came
Bruce
back
Pearl
out.
just kept them in.
Right.
It's like it's weird. But if the Gators do pull it off and beat Houston, I'm going to ride with the Gators to win it because it's my
Well, we
it's my
we
local
played them
favorite
in the
team.
You
championship.
mean beat Auburn?
Yeah, beat Auburn.
Auburn.
This year- remember, we play Houston in the championship, so
Yeah.
I don't
Oh.
think you're going to be
Oh,
rooting
wait,
for the
wait,
Gators.
They play Auburn in the Final
Man,
Four.
I'm all confused. Man, who are the matchups?
It's what?
Yeah, Auburn, Florida,
Yep.
and then Duke, Houston.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
We
okay.
play
Yeah,
Saturday.
no. Yeah, I don't want yeah, Houston needs to win. If Houston loses
Yeah.
to Duke,
Yeah.
then 100%, because I cannot stand Duke. Just being from Maryland and hating the Duke Bamas is
Coach
what we used to
K-
call them. Oh
Yeah,
yeah, I forgot.
yeah.
You got ties
Duke's
to
gonna
Durham.
roll. Duke's gonna roll pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
They're going all the way.
Somebody was telling me
Bull
Houston's
City,
got
Bull City.
two guards and 3 football players. They're going to be physical.
No, for
It's
sure.
gonna be a physical
Yeah,
game.
Big.
yeah. I think Malawak's gonna be ready. They got them eating, chicken and beef. Beefing them up.
They better beef them
yeah.
up.
It was crazy about this tournament is it almost went chalk more than any tournament ever has.
It really
And
has.
what's
Number
it's
one
crazy
seed
how
first time.
close and tight everyone is. Like of the 15 people in our company DeVore Capital pool, 10 people picked 3 of the 4 Final Four teams.
It's crazy.
Because the 3, 4 all number ones,
Right.
made it. I've never been in a tight as tight as this pool as it
Well, I
has-
know some
has-
people use ChatGPT, so you know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna say no names.
Hey,
You know?
GPT's that good. I'm going to use them in
Right.
my
That's
betting
the
pools.
way I'm going next year.
Yeah.
But I think I picked 3 number ones, and I think I left one off because I'm like, they're not running chalk.
No.
It's happened
Yeah.
one time. Just
Yeah.
didn't see the odds.
Yeah, I picked 3, and I did not pick Florida. I had Texas Tech going to the
Right.
Final Four,
Yeah.
and they
Which
almost pulled it
should
off.
have. They should have.
That was crazy. Florida's will to win that game.
Oh my god.
Florida should lost.
They-
I thought the game was
Should've lost
over.
that game,
The
yeah.
game was over. They intentionally fouled.
Right.
Texas Tech missed 2 1-on-1s, so they left 4 points on the board.
Yeah, that
Then coach, he called his final timeout with 2.5 minutes left, which was pretty strange.
Right.
But he got his group reset and focused, and everything Florida did, it all paid off.
Right.
Like it was probably less than 10% chance that they should
It
have
was
won that
90
game.
with under 3 minutes, 95.6% chance for Texas Tech to win that game.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah. Clayton is a beast, first team All American, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he has what it takes. Does he transfer from a mid-major? Was he Iona?
He was Iona. He's
Yeah.
been with the Florida the last 2 years.
Yeah,
But under Rick Pitino.
yeah.
So that's
oh,
who
yeah.
coached him up.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right?
Yep, yep. Now, so the tournament's been exciting, but a lot of stuff's happening
stuff.
downtown. I know baseball season, like the Jumbo Shrimp. I think
Yesterday.
today's their first.
Was it opening?
Yesterday?
Yesterday was opening day.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I drove that way home. I'm like, man, there's all these cars here.
Yeah,
but then
they
I
did.
looked at the
Packed.
They
schedule.
did a ribbon cutting yesterday with Donna Deegan was down there, the mayor. So they did some stuff like that. WOKB was down there. I was listening to it on the way into work. So they had a big big opening ceremony, all sorts of stuff. Opening day. So that's pretty cool.
Remember we did the company event last year. That was a blast.
Yeah, we'll go
We
back.
need to try
We
to do
should
that again.
this year. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, we're going on Honey Dripper Day. Yeah,
Honey
let's
Dripper
find
Day.
out. Let's find out when the
Dripper
Honey
Day.
Dripper is, because I want to get some of that merch. That merch is like swaggy. But hey, there was an article. This is kind of our first topic. Is Forbes? They put out their annual list of like wealthiest people, wealthiest billionaires, and there are more representation from Jacksonville than what I thought. So let me kind of get into the story. So Forbes billionaires list, the top 5 richest people in the world: Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, Larry Ellison, and Bernard R. Arnault. So no surprises there for the most part. I remember like 20 years ago, before e-commerce took off, it was always like Sam Walton. Sam Walton was like always like number 1. But not ironically, but cool thing is there's actually quite a handful of people with Jacksonville ties on the list. Starting with the Jacksonville Jaguars owner, Shad Khan. He ranks 175th, and there's a few other people. So, what do you think about this list, man? What do you think about the representation? Shad Khan, 175. Obviously his investment in the Jaguars has paid off, big time.
Well, I mean, obviously, hopefully we'll get on that list here in the next 5 to 10 years.
Do it.
Let's start there. But yeah, there's some great representation. We got Mike Rubio, which you love. The
Michael Rubin.
Fanatics, yeah. Michael Rubin,
Fanatics.
he's on there. Man, the CEO of I'm losing
Fidelity.
train
Yeah,
of thought.
Fidelity. Yeah, he's on
And,
there.
Yeah, so I mean, we got 4 people that have ties to Jacksonville, man, from the city or man that are part of the city, which is huge for sure.
Yeah, the thing about Michael Rubin, he technically isn't
messed
from Jacksonville. He's a Philly guy who bought the Fanatics, but he basically stole the Fanatics history.
Right.
So he's kind of technically claiming to be the founder, but the Fanatics was 100% Jacksonville guys. I think they were at Regency Mall. Was that like their first
Yeah,
location?
yeah, that's what I remember.
They were like one of the first very successful e-commerce sports memorabilia companies. Michael Rubin had his company, but then he ended up, buying Fanatics. So Michael Rubin kind of takes Fanatics history as his own. I guess you could do that when you buy, a company for, whatever they did. But the thing about I like about Michael Rubin, I don't know if you guys follow him as much as I do. He's CEO, $1 billion company. But he's also someone who seems to really enjoy life. He's the one who throws like those all white out Super Bowl parties with like Tom Brady,
Everybody
Kevin
does.
Hart, everyone who's doing something
Right.
relevant is at that party. Everyone's
He
trying to
was
get there.
there.
Yeah, not this year. But he has a great relationship. I think he has like one daughter or whatever. But man, he's just always with his kids. He's always doing fun stuff.
He's
And
living life.
He's living life,
Yeah,
but
100%.
obviously he's running this $1 billion company. He's no
Right.
slouch by any means. I've listened to quite a few of his podcasts. Dude is like full of like business knowledge. So, if someone asked me like, who's someone you want to, emulate, I would take, not that you want to be exactly like somebody 100%, but I can definitely take things to how he runs his business, his lifestyle, just enjoying himself, and not just like, working and then not having a life outside of it.
I remember when I was coming on DeVore, and Scott was like, "Hey man, you need to look this guy up, man, because he loves his lifestyle." And just to fact check, Bill Foley and Wayne Weaver are the other two. Yeah, I had a brain.
Oh, so
fart
Weaver
there.
was the former
Yeah,
Jags owner.
Former Jags, and now he's the chairman of Shoe Carnival. And then you have the chairman of Fidelity National Financial, Bill Foley.
Okay.
Speaking of Wayne Weaver, what do you think he's feeling like? Shad Khan, what was it? Purchased the Jaguars in 2012 for $770 million, and it's reportedly worth $4.6 billion.
The Jags are worth
No
way.
billion.
That's
How is small market Jacksonville worth that
I mean,
much?
these teams are just shooting it up.
Like,
I mean,
those
look what they're
TV
paying the
deals,
quarterback
right? Yeah.
alone.
Yeah.
I mean, it's insane. So
Man,
what an
what if we-
investment there.
Yeah, and what if we start winning? Man, we're going
Right.
crazy.
Yeah.
They'll just continue to
Wow.
rise.
And
Right.
they're going to add 2 games, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just more money. That's billions of dollars
Yeah.
to the NFL.
You said they're going to add
the
2
team.
games?
They want to add 2. They want to go to 18 games.
Wow.
Right.
They're voting on that like now. All the NFL owners are meeting down in the Breakers.
Okay.
As we speak, I think
Wow.
it might be over, but they haven't announced yet if they're going to increase the season. But that's the biggest thing on the table.
Yeah.
But they were talking about the extra money that then they could pay players more. I'm thinking. I mean, I'm all about people making money, but I don't know. You're going to pay these guys more money? Like, where does that? How do you even calculate what a player should make?
For sure.
Right.
When they're paying these guys $100 million over 3 seasons, 4 seasons now.
To
these
play,
are
to
not
play
getting that
17 games.
Right.
Yeah.
You get like $100 million a year.
Yeah.
You play
No.
17 times.
For sure.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
insane.
Well, as the cap continues to increase,
Increase.
it's not going to
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah,
The
18
players
games
are
will
going to
help
keep
that.
making more money. So.
Yeah.
But
That's
also,
nuts.
I mean, you think of the value of the dollar and all that kind of stuff too, man. They have to make more,
Yeah.
and then taxes and all that.
Shot Khan's worth will keep going up.
Yeah.
Besides, he
Right.
owns a auto parts store.
Yeah.
So
Right.
we're going to get these tariffs. He's just going to pass that on.
Yeah.
He'll probably grow another
soccer
few billion.
team. Doesn't he have a
Right.
soccer
Yeah, he owns
team?
a soccer
Yeah.
team.
Oh
so-
yeah, over in
He's
the
gonna
English
grow
Premier
quick.
League.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of billionaires growing fast. The list showed
For sure.
the increase year over year of how many new
Yeah, a
billionaires.
few hundred, like 300 more or 200 more billionaires.
Yeah, and it's just going to keep that just number's going to increase because money's easier to go get.
For sure.
Crypto and all these different things. You got guys turning into billionaires overnight. So, I see that list growing.
Dude, look at
it's just our
listen
job go
to
get a piece
this.
of it.
Yeah.
If the Jags are worth 4.6 billion, so the Celtics just sold for a record 6.1 billion.
That's crazy.
Like if the Celtics is worth 6.1 billion, but the Jags is worth 4.6,
0.6.
the Jags are way overpriced. When you
Right.
think about the legendary history
Of
of
the
the Celtics
Celtics,
winning
right.
like 18 or 19
You're
world
talking
championships.
NFL versus NBA.
For
Big
sure.
difference there.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
You know.
Well,
I
no,
think
but
so.
the Redskins,
Right.
Washington Commanders sold for a record 6.05 billion
Right.
in 23.
And that's Washington.
Yeah,
yeah, for sure.
but Washington's like one of the strongest like franchises.
It's a strong brand.
Right.
It's a
I,
strong
know-
I think
brand.
with the owner, they had went through so much, so the name kind of got drug in the mud over these,
Wish that
the
name
Dan
was dope.
Snyder days.
Actually.
So.
Yeah. I always thought that name was dope. I know I get all the
Right.
apologies of it. Dope name.
Here's some other notable people on the Forbes list. All right, top musician Taylor Swift, the Swifties,
wow.
2.5 billion.
Damn.
The next is Rihanna, 1.4 billion. Unfortunately, Tashina, who's off camera, Beyonce's not on the list. Sorry
she
about
was a
that.
billionaire.
No,
Jay-Z-
apparently not.
Jay-Z's on it,
Unless
though.
unless
That's one,
ChatGPT didn't give me it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some notable athletes. All right, MJ, 3
MJ,
billion.
Of course, yep.
LeBron, they say he's over $1 billion.
Jeez.
That's pretty good for LeBron,
Right, for
to
sure.
be, a third of the way to Jordan's wealth. And Jordan, he just sold his right or his interest in the Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah.
So I wonder how that kind of played into his current net worth. But obviously he's still his partnership with the Nike brand, with the Air Jordan brand, is probably the biggest thing driving his wealth to this day.
Right.
Yeah. And Bruce Springsteen, I'm sure Wes cares about Bruce Springsteen. He's 1.2 billion.
He's how many?
1.2 billion.
Oh, wow.
Wes probably thinks Springsteen's a traitor. Steve Ballmer, owner of the LA Clippers.
He's up there, I bet.
118 billion, so he's 10th on the list.
Wow.
I thought there was like this, like the Alibaba guy. Maybe he's on here. I don't see.
Is it
I don't
Jack
see any.
Ma?
I don't see any
Is
like
that
Jack Ma? He's
Asian
Jack
names
Ma.
in the
Is it
top
Jack
10.
Ma?
Man, I thought you said Jack Black. I'm like,
He's got to be on there for sure. He's
Yeah,
gotta be
he
something.
would.
let me see.
Yep. So yeah, the list grew from last year to 2024, 2025 by a few hundred names. But yeah, 4 people with ties to Jacksonville on this list. It's pretty cool.
If
Pretty
you
cool.
added up all the Waltons, they'd probably top the list combined of everything.
Right, and they purchased what the Broncos.
They purchased the
correct?
Broncos. That was another $4-something billion.
That's going to
at the
continue
time.
to rise.
That's
Jack
yeah,
Ma.
yeah. They're going to continue to do better. So that's it's just crazy. I mean, Dustin Moskovitz. You know who that is, right?
No.
No,
No,
sure.
no, sir.
The Facebook guy that didn't get all the credit for.
Oh,
starting
the other-
starting
The
Facebook with
Winklevoss
Zuckerberg.
twins?
Yeah,
No, not the Winklevoss.
The other half
not the
of Facebook?
Winklevi, right, as in the movie.
Yeah.
But no, the his true partner, his true guy that
Yeah,
started
yeah.
it, the young kid. He's actually reported worth $17 billion. They
Doing
never
what?
They never said what his true buyout or settlement was.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of B's behind that. I
Yeah,
guarantee.
definitely
But now
some
he's worth
percentage.
$17 billion, and it still shows him as credited as Facebook for that
Wow.
for his wealth.
Wow.
So, that's pretty. He's 119th on the list.
Okay, wow.
That's pretty crazy.
Let me ask y'all a question. Obviously, you got entrepreneurs, businessmen. Do y'all think the distribution of wealth, do y'all think it's spreading? You know how it always like, man, it's like 5 families hold like the power, this, that, that. I'm not trying to get in any crazy stories, but like, do y'all think like, man, right now in this landscape, it's easy to be an entrepreneur or hard? Do you think right now you can become a millionaire, ultimately a multi-millionaire? What do y'all think the landscape is for a person that says, you know what, I want to quit my 9 to 5 right now and I want to go all in on something?
Yeah. So I think there's a few things to answer. I think the wealthy people just continue to build a larger, outpacing everyone else.
Yeah.
Right.
But I do believe that the current market conditions, with the speed of information, with the internet, technology, AI, has neutralized and has made the playing field easier for anybody to create wealth. 100%.
Well.
So even though the wealthy people, we're talking about the billionaires list. I bet you next year it could be the first trillionaire,
Wow.
depending on what happens.
Gee.
With Musk, he probably will be the first trillionaire. But pretty soon, it's just like there's not going to be much of a difference between the millionaire and billionaire between just the letters, just the way that this thing is growing, the way the world economy is growing.
Wow.
But yeah, I think with internet, with social media, it's just giving other people. Obviously, there's platforms that I don't endorse, like OnlyFans,
Yeah.
where
Right.
people can go on there and become millionaires
Right.
pretty
Happens
quickly.
all the time.
Obviously,
Yeah,
you're
for
selling
sure.
your soul
Yeah.
to do something like that.
100%.
But yeah, I think the playing field is definitely lessening.
Yeah, I would absolutely say that it's the easiest and best time ever in the history of America to become an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost you much to start a business from at least a initial, get your paperwork, become ABC Inc. whatever your name is. Costs you a couple $100. You can get some things together. You just got to have a plan. You got to have something that what's going to be your product. And now with the internet, like you said, where you shoot a video and you can get 1 million followers, start making money. For anybody that doesn't have a side hustle as an entrepreneur business, I think they're doing themselves a discredit. Maybe you're not the biggest business owner. You don't have that mind or that desire or whatever. You're working a 9 to 5, whatever. That's great, but to not have some kind of side hustle, whether it be real estate, something on the internet, e-commerce. I mean, there's just too many things for people to say that they got no opportunity, they got no shot. That's just crazy because there's no easier and better time. There's just too much out there. You can sell toothpicks and go make some money.
Yeah.
So anything can be created. It's absolutely nuts.
Yeah. And to piggyback off that, we talk about it all the time. What's the currency today? What is the currency
Attention.
today?
Attention.
All right.
Yeah.
Eyeballs. And there's so many different ways and outlets to get yourself out there and put yourself out there that people can just blow up overnight. I mean, it happens. It's happening all the time now.
Yeah, and it happens quicker. And
Right.
it'll keep continuing to happen faster because the value of money is growing. As far as the same thing you sold something for $10. Yesterday it's $100 tomorrow. So, it's valuable to find something that you can do as side hustle, running a business, owning a business. I think everybody should be taught that. They don't teach that in schools, so I don't know where you necessarily finally pick up the desire and the knowledge to learn to do a business unless you grew up in a family that does that. So it's always interesting how people get there, but and it's happening younger too. It's happening younger that younger people can start businesses, because of the internet, because of social media and things like that we didn't have certainly when I was a kid.
They absolutely should introduce like business ownership, trades to younger kids,
Right, for
just
sure.
so they know what options are out there.
Right.
But the funny thing is, when you go into a middle school and you ask the kids what they want to be, it used to be police officer, fireman, astronaut, all that.
Right.
Now they all want to be YouTubers,
Right.
right? Even though that is roughly entrepreneurship, they
Right.
don't know it's entrepreneurship. They
Right.
just think it's an influencer.
Exactly.
So they're not taught the business skills of influencer means your brand, like your business is the brand that you create. So they're not really teaching them the business 101s, 201s, and everything to actually how to monetize what that could be. But I wish that people would actually think about curriculums at least with introducing some of the
Adapt and evolve.
concepts. Absolutely.
They don't. I mean, I don't. It's sad, really, when you think about it. I couldn't believe I see these kids. We're getting paid to play video games.
Yeah.
And people just watch them.
Yeah, they just watch the
That's
video, watch
crazy
them.
to me.
Yeah, it's insane.
No, I mean, I think I don't know the exact number. Maybe I need to fact check it, but I think the video game, like that whole network, is multi-billions and billions of dollars. I didn't get the actual number. It's such a astronomical number. That's like, I mean, like you can make money doing anything.
But what's even crazy is that that's been prevalent for a while.
Yeah.
But now, online live, so like shopping is a thing,
Right.
where adults are kind of more tuned into that,
Right.
where they're really just watching it for the entertainment value. It's basically like a fresh version of QVC.
Right.
And I think QVC actually is going out of business because of live shopping.
Right.
And those are just adults. Like they're like little kids watching other people play video games. Adults are watching live shopping. Some might be buying stuff,
Right.
but the majority are just like a spectator, just like
Right.
watching it because it's interesting to them.
Crazy.
Yep. So maybe that's a new thing.
It's
We'll
attention.
do DeVore Capital live shopping.
Live
we're,
shopping.
we're selling roofs and
Add another one to
and,
the list.
100%.
yeah.
Which where's diverse as it gets.
Yeah, we're already diverse. We don't need that.
All right. I got an article here. It's close to home. So we all know about DOGE. DOGE is the Department of Government. I forget what it's called.
Efficiency.
Government efficiency. So Elon Musk, from a national level, that was a thing that was discussed heavily, going through election season. Trump gets elected, and sure enough, it was DOGE and the one guy, I forget his name, the Indian guy, but he stopped out because he was focusing on running for governor for the state of Ohio. So DOGE has basically been run with the oversight of Elon Musk. And a lot of great has happened to it. Obviously, there's definitely a lot of pushback. Usually it's a party issue. But some of the crazy things that were identified, early on about all of this wasteful spending, and I'm just throwing this out. This isn't exact, like mice transgender studies in Sri Lanka or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
do we actually need to
Right.
have $10 million going to that? But something closer to home is Duval County has done their own version of DOGE. And we got a video. We have Ty Sheeta tee it up, and then we'll watch it. Then I just want to get y'all's reaction to what you think about Duval DOGE and kind of what they've uncovered so far.
Laid out hundreds of millions of dollars of city spending that could be cut in the upcoming budget season. I'm Tanika Hughes.
And I'm Ben Becker. The special committee officially met for the first time today. Action News Jax state and local government reporter Jake Stofan is live downtown. Jake, the committee chair says capital improvement projects will be the primary target.
Well, the committee today was presented with a list of 88 projects totaling more than $100 million that either have funding or either designated as complete but still have funding attached, or have been funded but no dollars have actually been spent in the last 2 budget years. Those projects will be the first focus of this committee. Duval DOGE committee members began their work digging into potentially unnecessary city spending by taking a look at 88 capital improvement projects. 22 of those projects have been designated as complete, but have a combined total of almost $11 million sitting untouched. Auditors explained 4 JFRD projects identified on the list do still have outstanding expenditures, but members plan to further scrutinize the remaining 18 projects that have unused funds totaling more than $5 million. Additionally, members were shown a list of 66 projects totaling almost $91 million that have been funded by the city but haven't expended any of those dollars. Chair Ron Salem says the committee intends to find out why that is and whether the funds are still necessary.
All right,
I'm not
Tyson, yeah, you can
suggesting
cut
all
it there.
90 million.
So, what do you guys think of Duval DOGE? $100 million. And so they kind of broke this down into two projects. One, funds that weren't spent, and then projects that haven't had capital improvement projects that have not had any money kind of spent since 2023. I have a list of a few of them. So the North Bank Riverwalk extension, that's like $15 million. Enhancements for the Lonnie Miller Regional Park, $8 million. Design of a master plan for Lonnie Miller Regional Park, $5.5 million. Restoration of two-way traffic to Julia Street in downtown, about $4.5 million. Wes, what do you think about this Duval DOGE?
Well, I mean, I'm a fan of having a committee, whatever it is, check into things that where our money is truly being spent. I mean, when we're finding the flat out fraud, waste, and abuse, as they put it, right, of where these when they throw out budgets, there's always fat put into the budgets for somebody wanting this or somebody wanting that. And to get it passed, you must add this and you must add that. And there's all this stuff going on. We don't know about it. So we've got our, Duval City Council, and half of them, I bet, don't even have a clue, would be my guess, of where all that money is actually going, where it actually gets spent, how the budgets are even working. And so to, like they say in that video, I think it gets into it where, or even in the article where, $100 billion, if they just save $10 billion of fat, waste and abuse, whatever it is, that's great. My only concern is okay, we find that we just scratched up 10 bill. Am I getting a check? Like, am I getting a cutback? Because I'm the taxpayer that cut into that $10 billion or $10 million that they found. So do you need a fact checker for the fact checker for the Doge checker, right? Because where's that money going to go if they, find $10 million of spending? So I think there's a lot that needs to really be looked at. It's not just finding the waste, fraud, and abuse, but then stopping it from getting that point, and then as well as where the money's going to go afterwards. But I'm definitely, I would definitely believe out of $100 million, they can go find some if they look for it. And I think that's worth doing. The only reason people are getting all upset about it on a nationwide level is because I think it's going to affect them financially. Because otherwise, they'd be all about, go find. They don't want people to make money, or a lot of people, have that weird thing about, the rich don't need to get richer, and we need all that. But then, so you're going to go find money that they're wasting. And nobody wants to do that if they think it's going to affect them. Yeah. So there's just a lot of, this is going to get bigger as far as if they keep finding more things. There's already a lot. I mean, we just had at the courthouse, they just had a Doge meeting, and there's all sorts of protesters out there. I'm not even sure they knew what they were protesting about. But, it's just, this is going to get crazy. So, lots of different thoughts going on. I don't know what the solid solution is or where this goes long term, but find where my taxpayer money is going and make sure I don't have to spend it as much. I'm all about that. Let's figure it out.
Yeah, who wouldn't want to audit, where the money's going? Yeah. I mean, just even here in the company, I'm doing an audit on all of the subscriptions we pay.
Right.
We got multiple Adobe subscriptions, something I want to talk to you about. But it's let's look at the books. Let's see what's been spent. So, Chair Ron Salem, he's basically saying there's no plan to cut spending, but they are asking the questions of why they have buckets of money for certain projects, why the money hasn't been used, and is the money still necessary? So it's creating a dialogue and conversation to be had. So that's better than not.
I like the way you put it. This is a surgical approach. We're not trying to go in as a blunt instrument to start cutting projects. So everybody needs to chill out a minute. Let's just go in and let's find out where all that money's going, what it's doing, why it's sitting there, why it hasn't been used. So I love that, granular, detailed approach, compared to just everybody freaking out that right off the bat, we're cutting jobs, we're cutting projects, stuff like that. They don't even know half the projects that are supposed to go on. You mentioned a few. I don't even know what those are.
And to me, I'm listening to everyone here. What does it boil down to? It boils down to accountability.
100%.
Being held accountable.
100%.
Why wouldn't we want the government to be held accountable?
Yeah.
I don't understand it. People out there protesting, or taxpayers out there, they don't know what they're. I don't think they know what they're protesting for.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I think why wouldn't you want the federal government to be held accountable?
1,000%. 1,000%.
So some other things here, which I appreciate reading, is they are looking at ways to reduce costs. So limiting overtime. Overtime is like one of the largest expenses. So it's not only is it extra hours than what you have planned and budgeted for, but it's extra hours at a 150%
Right.
increase in the cost. Updating city travel policy. So travel can be really expensive. So, and reading that, and then the last thing I'll note is they're creating a new whistleblower protection program for those who are reporting waste, fraud, and abuse. So that's good. So obviously, people who see something, they're speaking out. They should be protected. They shouldn't feel like they can't speak out if they're going to be under attack, where they can lose their
Right.
jobs, or their livelihood is affected.
I think that's a great start.
Yeah. There's people involved that probably see stuff going on every day. They just don't feel like they can talk about it,
Yeah.
or instructed not to talk about it. If they could start getting some of this out information, I think people would be blown away to know that maybe they don't want to know. Maybe that's the whole thing. Stick your
Right.
head in the sand,
Mhm.
hope everything's great, because you really don't want to know how bad certain things are. That could play into it too. But sometimes you don't want to know how bad it is, because then you just I think the biggest problem is you never feel like you have a say in it anyway.
Mhm.
Like, so whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, how you going to affect something, right?
For sure.
But me, I'd rather know. I'm just a glutton for punishment, but
Yeah.
I'd rather know what's going on with all the waste and the fraud and the abuse. Maybe I can't change much of it, but I'd rather know what's going on. Because we're all supposed to have a voice. That's the whole whole beautiful thing about America.
Yeah.
Well, we say we have a voice. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think we have a
Well,
voice at the end of the day. But anyway.
Last thing I'll say on this: if there's a politician who's pushing back, then you might want to. Why are you pushing back?
Yeah,
Why don't you
exactly.
want an auditing
Yeah.
of the money? So
Let's go through your
I would
book.
question.
Yeah,
I would question them.
We'll invite you on the show.
Yeah.
You come and talk to us about why you don't want that. Yeah,
Thank
we'll,
you.
Yep.
we'll invite you on to
I'd be
have a
interested to hear
have a
that
good discussion
response.
about it.
Mm.
Yeah, I'd be interested to hear. Exactly.
Mm.
Yeah. All right, you guys fans of Alex Hormozi?
He's cool.
Yeah,
I like
man.
it.
I like Hormozi. He's acquisition.com. He made a name for himself just with having his own gyms, and then he helped hundreds or even thousands of gym owners, figure out how to, make their gyms profitable, add extra services. So he's definitely has increased his attention. He's a thought leader and influencer when it comes to entrepreneurship in general. So I came across this thing on Instagram the other day that I wanted to share. I wanted to get y'all's thoughts. So he posted this carousel of it's like basically in the Simpsons kind of like coloring style or whatever. So the caption of it is how to stay poor. So how to stay poor. Focus on your lack of resources rather than your lack of resourcefulness. The latter creates the former, not the other way around. And then the carousel, the first slide says, if you have no money, you should have no shame. And then the next few slides lists a couple things. Knock doors, cold call, send out emails, send out texts, send out DMs, direct messages, and ask people. So the whole thing that I love to take away of this is on its last slide. Life-changing doors don't open for themselves. So let's take it back to the beginning here. If you lack resources, then you lack resourcefulness. And really, when it comes down to is if something's going to happen, you're going to make it happen. Like there's no excuse, especially if you lack money. You have every ability to go call somebody, to go knock the door, to tell them about your business, your service. It's out there. It's just going to take dedication. It's going to take work. I love this. I wanted you guys to kind of speak on this and share your thoughts on it.
Anybody want to go? I can go. One of the things that I loved about this post specifically was anybody can do this. I think sometimes, sometimes we get analyzed, right? And because we're so analytical, it paralyzes us from doing anything. And so, like, sometimes I get like that. Sometimes we're creating content. I'm like, man, it has to look a certain way. It has to be the best versus just kind of putting something out there. But what happens is when you start to do it, when you start to knock those doors, when you start to sell whatever, because we know everything in life is sales. Like when you just start to do it, what happens is it gets easier. But also, you start to understand the game. And then you start to gain wisdom and knowledge, and you know what to do when you knock the doors. But if you don't start, I mean, nothing would ever happen, and you won't succeed. And so I think the biggest thing in this is, like, what do you know that you need to start now that you should just go do, and what do you think that you don't have the skills in or you lack in that maybe you should just maybe as you do it, you gain the skills. As you do it, you gain the knowledge. As you do it, you gain the wisdom it takes to actually go into the next level. But to me, it really speaks to just starting and jumping off and it's just doing the thing.
There's a lot that's practical, with this whole little skit, kind of thing. The part that that I always think about is, I always have the issue. I always take things to the negative side, right, and then try to spin the negative back into a positive. I guarantee you, each one of us knows somebody that complains about being broke all the time. Yeah. Right. And not saying that DeVore Capital has all the answers, not saying that we have all the answers.
We got most
in
of
this
them,
room. We got some good answers, and we've got a great opportunity, and we know how to go make money. We know how to help people go make money. There's all those things, but there's a buddy of mine always used to say something. He says it all the time. Still, you can make money, you can make excuses, but you can't make both, right? So it just kind of always goes along those lines of if you're not doing. Let's just say you're not doing as well as anything in your life. It doesn't even have to be necessarily no money to have no shame. It's your relationship, you're this, that, or the other. There's an easy. It's simple. It's not easy, right? But there's a simple way to go and change that. It's too easy to get information these days. It's too easy to go do something. This is kind of what that sharing is on the money side is, go knock a door, go make a phone call, go do something. You could go out tomorrow and go make money. Like in our opportunity at our company here, especially in our roofing division, you could, I don't know many jobs that, standard job, you show up, you do your 8 hours, you get paid, right? Okay, everybody gets that, whatever your rate is. That's not the same thing as making money. That's just getting paid what, somebody else is telling you you're worth, right? So I don't know many opportunities that you can just go and today decide I'm going to give myself a raise because I'm going to go out and just work a little harder, do a little more, affect a little more, knock an extra door, do something like that. Yeah. But that exists in everything. I don't care what it is. So, I always love stuff like this that just maybe if it affects one person, it's done its job, right? Yeah. To say, man, today I do something different. I take that first step because that's always the key, right? That's the hardest thing to do. We talk about it in our business. The hardest door to open is the car door, right? In the neighborhood. Right, you get that open, you take the first step. The rest of it becomes pretty darn simple. Yeah. And you just put some effort and some timing behind it. Learn your skill, learn something. There's a lot can be affected. So I love this. I mean, if you have no money, you should have no shame. It's kind of really hurtful, but it's true, right?
100%.
It's true.
And no a lot of it boils down the choices you make. So if I'm overweight, 300 pounds, whatever it is, and if I don't do anything about it and keep the same routine, I'm going to stay that same weight, or I'm going to get bigger, right? I'm going to be worse. What do I do to change that? I could go work out. I could change my diet. Same thing in business and life. Yeah. If you're in that same job, you're working at a fast food place, and you're not really going anywhere, what are you going to do? You get comfortable, right? It becomes a habit, and maybe it's a bad habit, right? So I think you've got the choice to make. What do you want to do, and what are you going to do to push and change that?
Man, I was thinking about this. It's a quote I heard a while back, and I had maybe messed it up, but I was trying to write it out as you guys were talking. Like, talking about it isn't doing it. Thinking about it isn't doing it. Hoping for it isn't doing it. And also hanging around others that may be doing it really isn't doing it. Doing it is actually doing it.
Action.
Taking action. It's taking action. And I think what happens is we have to remove, obviously the theme of our year is sell and drive, right? And action steps, like just doing the thing. And I think what happens is we get this idea and we get this conception and we get in this ideations place. And then because there's little to no action, what happens is it falls off. But then we get inspired by something we see, we get inspired by something we hear, we hang out, and then it gets revived again because there's no action, you know what I'm saying? Like, it falls off. And one thing I've been thinking about, because on that track of losing weight, I've been having this idea. because I lost weight, gained weight, and I'm like, now I'm like, man, I just got to get it. I just got to lock in.
You and me
struck a
both.
nerve.
Yeah,
Jesus struck a nerve. in
no,
you,
for
Brian.
real.
Myself as well.
Seriously,
Slacking.
for the past 2 months, I've been like frustrated, and so I'm like, okay, I need to remove the big steps, right, to get to my goal in terms of, oh, I'm gonna go to the gym today for 2 hours. That's a massive step from, let's start with 10 push-ups. Let's start with 100 push-ups. Like, so if the small actions will ultimately lead like to the big step and to the big move. Just like I think you said all the time, like small hinges, swing big doors. You know what I mean? And so like it's those small steps that I think I need to go back and saying, okay, this small step is actually big. Like me getting up and doing 10 push-ups is huge because I ultimately know my body's gonna get recalibrated again, and then I'm gonna. So what I'm saying is, take it away. Take it away.
But you did say something that I think wasn't right. Which was the people you hang around, you've got to go do it. They're not going to do. They may not do it for you, but you hang around 5 broke friends, you're bound to be the 6th.
Oh no,
right. So
100%.
you bottom line, right? So I think that is something too that we can easily affect. The opportunities and the way your mind works and just different things. And I just picked up on it when you said it. That I remember that you got to make your circle a better circle of people you hang out with.
So good.
Get in. We always talk about it. Get into the bigger rooms, right? We're always trying to get into that next room. If you're making hundreds of thousands, you need to be in that millionaire room. If you're making millions, you need to be in the billionaire room. So on and so forth, because they're doing something. They know something different. Hanging around them is bound to shake off on you to get there fast. Going absolutely nowhere, and then they wonder why they're going absolutely nowhere too. They can't get the for how do I even get started kind of stuff. So, just you got to increase your circle of friends and influence a little better sometimes too. So there's a lot that can go into this whole thing.
For sure.
I knew it would turn into a good conversation, but sometimes it is just hanging around better people will give you enough motivation to go do something different. That's what I think.
Yeah, I like the thing that was coming to mind when you were speaking is it reminds me of the Og Mandino book, The Greatest Salesman in the World.
Yeah, we had to read that.
We did that as a team thing. I'm surprised there wasn't that many people who actually read it, and so I reread it for the first time in 20 plus years, and it all boils down to this: is what are we? Right. We are our habits.
Right. 100%.
So if we change our habits, then we change who we are. So if our habit changes from not doing those 10 push-ups when we wake up, not going to the gym, instead of going to Burger King or Wendy's or whatever, get the saucy nugs. We're gonna stop at the YMCA right down the road. I'm ready to join too. Get my discount.
Let's go.
My discount from your referral. So just changing those habits, and those habits, will eventually become who we are. So if your habits are good, your habits are healthy habits. Your habits are, like for me, I we're all believers here, and I'm someone who says I read my Bible all the time. And dude, sometimes before like this recent new habit, I've been in, bro, I'd be reading my Bible app for like 3 minutes while I'm in the bathroom, right? Yeah. And I'm like claiming like, I'm reading, but dude, I got connected with this networking group, Wise Counsel, and then we went through this whole thing called Abide Now. And my whole morning routine has changed. Wow. Where I look forward to waking up, I'm in my scripture, I'm in deep prayer, and I'm in my journaling. And that has not that, like the most miraculous things in my life have changed because they actually, kind of going through some things right now, just from business and everything that's going on. But because my habit has changed to doing those things where, it's drawing me closer to the Lord, which we all need to do if that's who we claim to be. And I just feel this peace, even though, things are happening and, whatever, feel like, we might be under attack from, things happening, to us. But that habit has just made me, not that I was, claimed to be weak in my faith, but man, just like solidified on the rock every day, and I'm not that I'm in there for 2 hours every morning, but it definitely isn't 5 minutes anymore, so that's just a habit that I changed and I committed to it. And, just from that, my personal testimony, my account has, has grown up, increased so much. So yeah, I was just thinking about that when you were sharing.
Wow. That's awesome.
Good stuff, man.
Great
Well,
stuff.
DeVore Live, the tagline, all things Jacksonville business. real estate, and life.
Yes, sir.
We're in the middle of the summer. You can kind of feel like summer
Literally.
had just kind of came
Yeah.
in the last couple of days. That
90
humidity,
degrees today. All
the
of a sudden,
humidity's here.
all that cool weather.
I don't know what I'm doing wearing this jacket.
Yeah,
It's that fan behind
I'm already complaining. Where did that cool weather go?
You
You know,
know, yeah.
man.
Yeah, but it's been a fun one.
Yeah.
Make sure you like, subscribe, tell a friend about DeVore Live.
Yes, sir.
And until next time, peace and love.
Peace and love.
Have a good one.